hell happened here?
Hasn't happened yet.
There are people in the future who need us. Who need Tenet.
We need to save them here and now.
This reversing the flow of time. Doesn't us being here now mean it never happened?
I finally went to the movies again, and I'm finally making a movie review video again. So on Wednesday I saw Tenet. A couple days ago I saw Tenet. It was an early screening because I think it technically came out on Thursday, and I would have been ahead of the game if I made this video, you know, before it was officially released, but I figured it's fine, nobody really watches my videos anyway. So, and I almost debated not making this video because I don't know how much I can really say about the movie, but I wanted to review it because I need to upload a video. And I used to make movie reviews on my old channel, my first channel that I had in high school. I pretty much did it to make movie reviews. I had the channel specifically for that, and also some vlogs, but that's when I was really, really into movies. And I'm still into movies. In the cards or the things up there, I'll have the video I did about the 2019 Oscars. Yeah, because I had some issues with the Oscars, and I talk all about all these movies, so if you want to watch that, go watch that. I don't know if I've done... Well, I did talk about the Avengers movies on this channel, but I don't think I've done a real movie review on this channel before. So I guess this is the first one. Maybe I'll do more. So subscribe if you want to see more about that and just talking about movies in general, because I would love to do some more of that. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about Tenet because it's a movie that not a lot of people have seen, I think. And I'm not sure if a lot of people will see it, at least right now while it's in the theaters, because with the coronavirus thing going on here, a lot of people maybe still aren't ready to go to the theaters. I decided to go because I wanted to go so badly, and I've missed the theaters for a long time, and I want to support them. I want to make sure that we keep theaters around. I don't think that they'll disappear, because I know that people who care about film will want to keep the theater alive, but I just want to make sure that I do my part as much as I can to support them right now during this tough time when they're, I'm sure, struggling with money, with basically no movies to show. So when Tenet was coming out, this movie is basically the first big release after, like, during this pandemic and everything, right, during the COVID stuff. So I was excited. I've been excited for this movie. I thought the trailer was fantastic, but as many of you may know, it kind of didn't live up to the hype, unfortunately. I'm really, really sad to say that. I wish I didn't have to say that. I wish that it was everything that I had hoped that it would be, but it wasn't, and I'm going to talk about that. So Tenet is directed by Christopher Nolan. He is, of course, a super famous director, very well known, and he did Inception, Dunkirk, Interstellar, the Dark Knight movies. Like, we all know, probably everyone's seen at least one of his movies, and he's also known for having really complex plots or themes in his movies. If you've seen Interstellar, then you know about the whole stuff that goes down at the end of that. And then Inception, obviously, and Inception's a little bit older, so if you haven't seen that, you probably will know the kind of scene that everyone has probably seen, unless you don't know, of the whole city, like, you know, bending over, all that stuff. Like, Inception is all about dreams and people being, I don't know how to explain it, because I didn't love Inception when I watched it, but, you know, it's a whole funky thing there. It's fictional, altered reality type of stuff. So Tenet, as you could see in the trailer, is similar in that way. It's got something different about how things physically work in the universe or something. That's the best way I could put it. And as you could probably expect with something like that, that's so fictional but complicated, scientifically it'd be difficult to explain. So in a film, it is confusing. And we're going to get to that. But besides the director, the star is played the protagonist, as you know. If you've seen the movie. I'm going to try to not spoil anything because there might be people who have not, there probably will be people who have not seen the movie watching this. So I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to try really hard to not spoil anything. But anyway, the protagonist, the main character, is played by John David Washington. He was in, I got my Google, he was in Black Klansman, Malcolm X, a couple movies that probably people have not heard of. Although Black Klansman, I think, did win some stuff at an award thing. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about all that much, but I have not seen that movie. I haven't seen any movie with this guy in it. So this was all new to me, seeing him in Tenet. And then it's also got Robert Pattinson, who, we know Robert Pattinson, Twilight, all that stuff. He's going to be the Batman, so that's exciting. And then it's got Elizabeth Debicki. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But she was in The Great Gatsby. That's the only thing I know her from, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. The one with Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously. So, those are pretty much the main people. There's some other people in the movie, but they're like the main three. So, let's get into why it turned out to not be amazing. I will say that the best part of the movie was the cinematography. Although that word is overused nowadays. The shots, that stuff was great. It was beautiful. They had some fantastic shots in the movie. The stuff that I saw in the trailer that really made me want to see the movie, because I knew from the trailer that it was going to be kind of confusing. I didn't understand what it was about at all when I watched the trailer. It wasn't clear to me. So going into it, I knew that it might be not as interesting or entertaining to me personally with the plot. That isn't what looked amazing to me. What looked amazing to me, or what drew me into the movie or made me want to see it, was the action, because of the whole time thing. If you don't, just watch the trailer, you should know what I'm talking about. But it's a whole thing of inversion, is what they call it, where things, instead of physically moving in a positive direction in space, they move backwards, if that makes sense. And the way I interpreted it watching it, it's also something with time, going backwards in time and going backwards in space. So the way that we think of space travel, that we would just go back in time and be in that time moving forward from then, in the movie it's inverted, which now I think would be the way that would maybe happen if we were to if we were able to go back in time. That we would, if we were going backwards in time, then wouldn't we also continue to go backwards in time? So this may make no sense unless you've seen the movie. But just imagine you're going forward in time right now into the future. And if you want to go back in time, you start to go back in time towards the past, right? And you continue in that direction. So everything that's happening that's going backwards in time is physically moving backwards in space. Like you roll a ball down a hill and it goes up the hill instead. Does that make sense? In the whole movie, like you see in the trailer, shooting the gun, but he's not shooting the gun. Like the bullet isn't coming out of the gun, it's going towards the gun, back into the gun. See how confusing that is? Just me trying to explain that now. And then try to understand that watching the movie when you also can barely hear what they're talking about. And we're going to talk about that too. The sound mixing. That is something that apparently people have had an issue with Christopher Nolan's movies before, but I didn't know, because I don't know if I've ever seen one of his movies in theaters. No, I saw Interstellar in theaters. I'm pretty sure that I saw Interstellar in theaters, but I don't remember having an issue with the sound. So that was an issue that people had with this movie, is they say that the background noise is too loud and the music, the score is too loud and you can't hear the talking, the dialogue as much. And I will say that that is true from my experience in the theater. I looked up why Christopher Nolan says that he does that on purpose. And he says, I think that he wants to make the movie where it will play well in a high quality theater with a high quality sound system. That's what I apparently heard that he said. Also, like when I Googled it, also something about how he wants the experience of the film to be more focused on seeing it and feeling it, the experience of it and witnessing it, more than he wants you to just hear the dialogue. Something like that, if I remember correctly. And so whatever. What this tells us though is he is intentional about it. It's not a mistake. You know, it's not that they did the sound mixing badly. It's that he has decided with all his films to do it this way. And it is difficult as the viewer to deal with it, but it's fine. I was able to hear enough so that I could understand. And maybe my theater just had a better sound system. I don't know. But there was a scene when they were on a boat and the water, they were right next to on the side of the boat. And so the water's rushing past, right? And the water was really loud. I did notice that I could hear the rush of the water so much that I could barely hear what they were saying, the two people talking. And I was thinking that's kind of like how it would be in real life. In real life, if you're there on the boat, you would hear the water and the rushing by, and you wouldn't hear, it'd be harder to hear the people talking right next to you. In real life, we don't have microphones picking up someone's voice. You're trying to listen while there's loud things happening around you. So I did notice that, and I thought it kind of makes sense to make sure that it sounds realistic, that the water is like that. But if there's an issue with the musical score, then that isn't realistic to me. I remember in Interstellar, the big scene when they're trying to connect the ship back to the thing. You know that whole thing when they're spinning and the other one's spinning the other way, and the guy has to like match it up perfectly, and I'm like, could this really happen? But anyway, the music in that is very, very loud. And I remember because my sister watched it the other day with my family, and I was busy doing other things, and I've already seen Interstellar like twice, so I was like, I don't need to watch with you guys, but they were watching it, and I remember walking by the room and that scene was on, and it was so loud, and my sister puts the volume loud. Yes, but the score, the music was so loud, it was overpowering anybody talking in the movie. And that to me is not realistic. And it was dramatic, and I get that, to add that edge of your seat feeling. So yes, that, I think it works. But it was loud. So I understand people's complaints and issues with the sound mixing. But if Christopher Nolan wants to do it that way, then that's fine. But it will take a couple watches of this movie to really know what everyone is saying in it, because when I was watching it, I had to feel like I was keeping up. And in the moment, I was really trying to pay attention to what they were saying, but I didn't pick up every word. And so I don't know everything about what they were explaining. So it'll take another viewing to really understand some of the concepts in this movie. But I don't think I'll see it again in the theater, but I'll just wait until later. So that's the thing about the sound mixing. That was a major thing that people have been talking about when reviewing this movie. So I had to say something. The other issue with the movie for me was, and I think I've only seen like one or two other people talk about this, that the characters are a little bit flat, or they're just missing something. There's something, and I kind of felt it right off the bat with the main character. And what's his name, the character? It just says that he's the protagonist. I guess, did he not have a name in the movie? I didn't notice. Anyway, the main guy. There was something, I felt like I wasn't getting enough from him with the character. It's not about his acting, and like I said, I haven't seen him in any, I haven't seen his other movies, so I don't know his acting abilities, but I can tell that the character, there was something missing with the character, I felt. And maybe I just look for too much in a character, but I didn't feel like there were any stakes, honestly, in the whole movie until the end, when you really feel the end of the world is coming. Through most of the movie, I didn't feel like anything, I didn't care enough. I didn't care enough for the characters, and I didn't understand. Also probably because it was confusing. The concepts were so complex and confusing, I couldn't really understand what was at stake. And so it left me sitting kind of feeling uninterested, which is really unfortunate because the movie I thought that it could be so much, and when I was watching it, I felt like I was missing something. It wasn't giving me everything that I felt like I needed. That was something that I noticed very early on in the film. I don't know, the character I'm talking about, the main character, the protagonist, he was cool in the fighting scenes. And there was the one scene that I don't want to spoil, but when these bad guys think they're gonna get him, and he fights them and gets out, and when he walks out, he looks so cool. So I just felt like he could have been more, and there was something missing, like something to care about, something to, and maybe that's just because that's what I want in characters, and maybe other people don't. Maybe they just want an action character. But I think most people want a person. They want to feel like they're a real person that they're caring about. Because beyond just the big thing at stake, the world being in danger, what about the individual guy, the protagonist? Do you care about him? And I didn't know anything about him. So it felt like if something happened to him, I don't know what to think. Even Robert Pattinson's character, though, there wasn't anything. At the end, there's a thing, and I'm not spoiling, but at the end, you do kind of care about him because something is revealed and all that. But throughout the rest of the movie, I don't know. And a lot of people were saying that he did really well in this movie, and he did, but the character, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's just me. But the girl, Elizabeth, but she's playing Kat. Kat is the character. She's the only one with a background and with a sad story. And she had good moments when she was telling the protagonist about the things that happened to her. You care in those moments. And the actress is very good. And she's very good in those dark, sad moments talking about these sad situations. So you do care about her, and you care about what she's going through and the pressure or the decisions that she has to make. Those feel almost like there's a higher stake with that than the other people. And I do understand that the protagonist and Robert Pattinson's character, which is, I guess his name is Neil. I can't remember, sorry. I understand that they're like spies. They're like agents. So they can't have a background story. I don't know. I know that they can't let other people know about their history in the movie. And Neil, though, I get it, because when you see the movie, you know why you're not supposed to know his history. But the protagonist, I don't know, as the viewer, can we be allowed to know? Is there no time for the movie because there's so much going on in it? Or is it intentional? I mean, obviously it has to be intentional that it was written where we don't know anything about him. So can we really care about him? That's the dilemma that I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I mean, we can care about him as a person, but when you're watching a movie, what is it that's going to make us care about what happened to this guy in the past and what's going to happen to him in the future if he's just a blank slate, basically? So I don't know. That's an issue that I had, because I like movies for the characters usually, most of the time. beyond the other stuff. And sometimes there are really cool things that happen in a movie that make me want to watch it over and over again, or a great story, but maybe there just wasn't enough of any of that in this, which is just crazy. I don't know. I wish that it had been better, and it's not bad at all. And it's a well done movie. It has its flaws, but it's a good movie. I have to watch it again, but it wasn't everything that I thought that it might be. And there were really great moments in the movie. Really great scenes. The plane scene that everyone talks about wasn't my favorite scene. I prefer the scene on the road when the highway scene. That one I liked more. That one I really liked watching. And then I love, once it gets towards the end, they have that spinning thing and the red and the blue and the glass, if you've seen the movie. And I like everything after that, basically. But then the huge battle scene at the end I didn't really like either. But I really liked when Kat was on the boat dealing with that situation at the end of the movie. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me personally. My interests lean more towards emotional things and emotional stakes or relationship stuff. Not like love relationships, but like conflicts between people. Maybe I'm just more into that than a big battle scene. But I think it's good to have a balance in a movie. And I think this movie maybe struggled with balancing anything because it was so focused on the cool inversion stuff. It felt like it didn't have a purpose. Like Christopher Nolan wanted to tell a story that involved this cool idea he came up with about inversion, that he calls it, and he wanted to make a story surrounding that. But the story feels pointless. That's kind of my interpretation. And the inversion is cool. So it's cool. But the story felt like it was lacking. So that's basically the conclusion that I've come to about this movie. I need to watch it again, and then maybe I'll have some different thoughts. But overall, I'd say if you're brave enough to go to the theaters, go see it, because it's worth seeing it. It's an entertaining enough movie, and it's great to be able to go to the theaters again and experience a film. I will say that. Visually, it has great moments, and also with the action. Like, the action is original and all that. Like, go see it for the action, go see it for the visuals. But if you aren't into action and you're not into complicated movies that you have to pay attention to, then don't go see it. And if you are a little bit nervous about going to the theaters because of COVID, I would say this movie is not anything that you have to see in a theater, I think. Like, visually it's great, but it's not like Interstellar, seeing that in a theater. This movie is something that, in my opinion, you could watch on your computer and still see the beautiful shots and the cinematography. And I think that it would be easier to hear it with earphones. I like to watch things on my computer with my earphones in. I have an easier time hearing dialogue with my earphones. So I think that it would be a movie you could watch on your computer. So if you want to wait for that, go ahead. If you don't want to take the chance with the theater, but I felt safe because we had to wear our masks and the theater was basically empty and they cleaned the seats. So that's my thing about the theater. Overall, the movie was not bad. It was a movie that I would watch again, and then we'll see if I ever want to watch it after that. But I think that concludes my review. I think I do plan on doing more what am I saying? I think I will plan on doing more movie reviews in the future, because it's definitely something that I want to have a part of my life, is film stuff. So I think I'll do some more. So if you want to see more reviews for movies in the future, especially coming up whenever there's new movies coming out, I'll do it. Then make sure you subscribe, and then you can see all that other stuff. Make sure you go watch that video about the Oscars. Oh, I don't think it was was it the 2020 Oscars? Is that what I think that's what it was. But it was about the movies that came out in 2019. And January 2020. I have some thoughts about that, so if you want to go watch that video, it will be linked down below and also up in the cards. Hopefully I will see you in the next video. Just make sure you subscribe and then you will see me and I will see you. So other than that, have a good night, have a good day, whatever it is, and I'll see you later. Bye.